A recent executive order issued by the administration has directed relevant agencies to investigate avenues for the deportation of activists, a category encompassing even students holding valid visas who have participated in demonstrations. This directive represents the culmination of months of escalating rhetoric from Republican officials who have repeatedly threatened punitive measures against universities perceived as accommodating pro-Palestinian protest. The escalating tension has been evident since October of last year, when prominent Republican figures issued stark warnings of potential repercussions for several of the nation's most esteemed universities. These warnings included the threat of withdrawing billions of dollars in federal funding and the revocation of accreditation, severe penalties intended to punish institutions for their alleged tolerance of pro-Palestinian activism on their campuses. This hardline stance reflects a broader pattern of increasingly aggressive measures aimed at suppressing dissent and controlling narratives surrounding the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The administration's approach has been characterized by a dramatic escalation in rhetoric and proposed actions. Last week, a controversial proposal emerged suggesting the complete displacement of Palestinians from the Gaza Strip, relocating them to other countries. This proposition ignited immediate and widespread condemnation, with critics accusing the administration of implicitly endorsing ethnic cleansing. The scale and severity of this proposal represent a significant departure from previous policy approaches and have heightened international concerns regarding the administration's handling of the conflict. The current administration's hostility toward pro-Palestinian activism is not a recent development. During his presidential campaign, the incumbent explicitly pledged to deport students deemed pro-Hamas, even those legally residing in the United States on student visas. This commitment to deportation, framed as a necessary security measure, foreshadowed the current aggressive stance toward political dissent. The inherent ambiguity surrounding the term pro-Hamas raises concerns about the potential for arbitrary application and the potential for silencing legit. This commitment to suppressing dissent was further solidified on the administration's first day in office with the signing of an executive order containing a sweeping clause. This clause stipulated that the United States must actively ensure that both newly admitted individuals and those already residing in the country do not harbor hostile attitudes toward the nation's citizens, culture, government, institutions, or founding principles. The vagueness of this language raises serious concerns about the potential for abuse and its chilling effect on free speech and political expression. The broad scope of this directive potentially creates a legal framework for the deportation of individuals based on their political beliefs and affiliations, raising fundamental questions about due process and the protection of basic human rights. The potential for misinterpretation and arbitrary enforcement poses significant challenges to the principle of equal protection under the law. The lack of clearly defined criteria for determining hostile attitudes leaves considerable room for subjective interpretation and potential for discrimination. This ambiguous language raises concerns about the potential for disproportionate targeting of specific groups, particularly those involved in political activism. The executive order, in conjunction with the recent threats of deportation, creates a climate of fear and uncertainty, potentially silencing dissenting voices and undermining the principles of free speech and academic freedom. The implications of these actions extend beyond immediate deportation cases, influencing the broader political landscape and setting a concerning precedent for future administrations. The potential chilling effect on free speech and academic discourse within the country warrants serious consideration and critical analysis.